Welcome to the video. I thought what I'd do today would be to share some of the albums that I've been playing over the past 3 weeks. The best of my playlist, as it were, for weeks 6, 7 and 8 of 2025. And I'd throw in some finds for February 2025 as well. So some albums that I've acquired this month, but I've not quite made my mind up about them yet, and they need more listening before I can say they're great one way or another. So let's just get into it, yeah? So albums that I've been picking out in the last 3 weeks. Well, I acquired this one in February, but it's also an album that I had on CD for a long time, and I've always been on the lookout for a vinyl copy. This is the 5-album box set Biograph by Bob Dylan. And when I played this, there's something about Bob Dylan's compilations that I wouldn't say they leave me cold. They just don't really inspire me. I mean, I've got a lot of Dylan. I like Dylan, but throw a compilation together. One of the common features of Dylan's compilations is that the track listing is in chronological order. So it starts with the really early acoustic stuff, and then the country tinge stuff from the late 60s. And then way on into, up to the present day. I find them a little bit dull and uninspiring, as I've suggested. This one might be the only one. It's the first one that I can recall where all of the tracks are jumbled up from up until, when was this released? Should have checked this. I don't want to be wasting anyone's time. Late 1985. I think it's 1985. So it's already ancient, this particular compilation, but it throws in tracks in a random order, if you like, as opposed to chronological order, and the album really works. So you kind of get the different styles of Dylan bleeding into each other, and it keeps you on your toes. You know there's not another 5 acoustic tracks coming along or another 5 country tinge tracks. It's really good, and I listened to this 5-album box set from beginning to end in one day. So it was so good. So yeah, we're very pleased with that. We're really pleased to get a copy of that after all this time. One sad event that happened in February, or was it January? I can't recall. It might be January. Is the passing of David Lynch. Now, I've long been a fan of David Lynch. I love his work. I love what was his YouTube channel. And I love the collaborations he had with Angelo Badalamenti. Huge fan of Twin Peaks. Watched the whole thing at least a couple of times, including the Return series. But with his passing, I thought, well, I don't know where it was, whether it was me thinking it or whether something popped up in my search engine, but suddenly I realized that there was a gap in my collection and I didn't have the Twin Peaks Season 2 soundtrack, and so I acquired it, and it's not as good as Series 1. The stuff that he did for the 3rd series is amazing as well, but this is still absolutely great. Kind of a little bit of a bizarre cover considering the cover of the first series soundtrack, but this is the jagged edges of the floor stroke carpet in the Black Lodge, I think. There you go, Agent Cooper and Laura Palmer. So yeah, great stuff. Angelo Badalamenti, who also passed within the last couple of years, which is very sad. Another album that I picked out was, this was also an acquisition in February 2025. And it's an album I thought I had on vinyl, but I've been searching high and low and I couldn't find it, so I thought, to hell with it. I'm going to buy it if I see it. And I did see it at a record fair, and I bought Imperial Bedroom by Elvis Costello. I remember this period really, really well. This particular album, in listening to it again on vinyl, it's wrong to say it's a disappointment, but I think that the critics' appreciation or judgment around this particular album is kind of a little bit informed by the disappointment of some of them with its predecessor, which is the Almost Blue album, which is the country album that he did. Now, I think the album that follows this, Punch the Clock, is at least as good as this one. But still, this is a great album. This is in maybe, you know, his top 5, 6 albums. But yeah, good to get that one again. An album I didn't think I would go back and listen to, and I haven't listened to it for a very, very long time, partly because the lead singer was a pop singer who joined this band back in the 80s, and I was always a bit sniffy about him. And of course, when Live Aid came along, he was kind of put into the shade by Bob Geldof, and that's Midge and Ultravox. And this is the Vienna album. There he is on here. I saw them around this particular time as well. What do I think about this album on hearing it again for the first time in years? It's bloody good. It's so... Sure, it's influenced by krautrock. It's got that kind of modernist vibe about it. Big keyboards, but great driving rhythms as well. This was so much... I was so pleased to hear this. So much better than I thought I was going to enjoy it. But yeah, great stuff. So that's Vienna by Ultravox. A live album, solo album by Lindisfarne's Alan Hull was on the turntable in the last couple of weeks. And this is called Another Little Adventure. And this covers some Lindisfarne tracks, but mainly his solo stuff. United States of Mind, The Money Game, Dan the Plan, which was about some corruption in local government in my hometown Newcastle, way back in the 70s. Malvinas, Melody, One More Bottle of Wine, Poor Old Island, which was from Dingley Dell, the Lindisfarne's third album, January Song, All Fall Down. Great stuff. Really good. In great voice as well. That was around 1988, I believe. Something quite different. I dug this out, and this is The Correct Use of Soap by Magazine. So Howard Devoto. This is another one that I kind of filed away. Probably not likely to play it for a very long time, but it's really, really good. It's produced by Martin Hannett. And... yeah, just great. 1980, Virgin Records, Magazine, and The Correct Use of Soap. Going way, way back. But this is an 80s release. It's an 80s release. It's a compilation. The Columbia River Collection by Woody Guthrie. This kind of sounds a bit battered. It wasn't really well looked after. I picked up this up secondhand some time ago. But got me back listening to Woody Guthrie again, which is really, really good. This is another kind of historical thing. So there's not much in terms of new stuff. Although I've got a new album which I have not brought upstairs, but I'll mention that briefly later on. But this album was great, and this one was on Amazon, and it was a good price, a triple album, and I thought I'd get it. Now, the first 2 albums are this guy and his band. The third album, you've got 2 other artists, daughters, I think, of the singer. But anyway, I'll not keep in suspense any longer. It's at the Royal Albert Hall. It's Paul Rodgers and Free Spirit. And this is Paul Rodgers doing tracks from his band Free. And I can tell you, it is absolutely stunning. Paul Rodgers' voice is incredible. And this was recorded just a few years ago. 2018 it was released, so recorded in 17 or 18. But his voice is incredible on this, absolutely fantastic. And the band is superb. The band replicates the sound and feel of Free brilliantly. So if you like Free, you want to kind of assign a little bit of a modern tinge, but with a doffing the cap to the authenticity of the original band, this is a great album. Really pleased with that one. Couple more, and this one was always in the shade for me because I was into Sulk and Perhaps, and that's the Associates and the Affectionate Punch. Now this, I believe, is a kind of a re-recording of the debut album that they did. They put some different sounds on it. But if you listen to this, as I did, listen to this with a fresh set of ears and just thought, no, I'm not going to go back to the albums that contained the hits. I'm going to go back to this. This is still really good. Very pleased to have dug that one out once more. Another one, because I started with Dylan, I'm going to finish with Dylan. This is Down in the Groove. Another album that surpassed my expectations. It's always, deep in Dylan's catalogue, and it never appears high on Dylan rankings, but this is still great, and Oh Mercy was just around the corner. 4 albums that I've acquired this month that I'm not 100% committed to staying there great or otherwise at this particular point. But let me start with Mogwai's Les Revenants soundtrack album. I think there's one track on here which has got vocals, but the rest of it's instrumental. Very impressed so far. Typical soundtrack, all about atmosphere. Really interesting. Nice cover too, like that design. This one I bought in Stratford-upon-Avon. And this is a kind of I'll tell you, this is a blind buy that I bought simply for the cover. And I thought, this is going to be really interesting. And this is by Veneri Poyola and Mika Kallio. And it's called Animal Image. Now, I'm going to get this wrong. I don't know. I suspect this is Icelandic. Might be Finnish. I don't know. But I thought what was interesting about this particular album, I thought it's bound to be really atmospheric with this type of cover. But also, the instrumentation is interesting. So, Veneri Poyola, yeah, maybe, plays trumpet and electronics. And then Mika plays drums and gong. And long tracks, really interesting. Not super melodic, not like standard, if you can call standard jazz. Definitely modern jazz. But yeah, great stuff. Another one in the same vein is this album here called by Avishai Cohen and called Big Vicious. What a fantastic image on that cover. It's brilliant. Now, why did I buy this one? Well, I think I've said before that I love ECM recordings, and one of the things, this is an ECM recording, and one of the things that I'm always on the lookout for is that interesting instrumentation, so non-standard. And what we have here is we've got Avishai Cohen playing trumpet, effects and synthesizer. Uzi Ramirez plays guitar. I'm a hostage to fortune here trying to pronounce all these bloody names, but I'm going to try. I'll stick with it. Jonathan Albalak, guitar and bass. Aviv Cohen, drums. And Ziv Ravitz plays drums and live sampling. So interesting stuff on here, and really interesting sounds here. There's also a version here of Teardrop, Massive Attack's Teardrop, which is not as big a departure as I thought it was going to be, but really, really excellent. So I'm going to definitely be spinning that again. And finally, an album that I really can't make my mind up about, and that is called All These Perfect Crosses by Craig Finn. That's Craig Finn of The Hold Steady. And I dove into The Hold Steady when they emerged on the scene. Kind of that sort of Americana, that storytelling, Springsteen influenced kind of sound. A little bit too upbeat for my liking. This is a compilation of solo tracks from a handful of albums that with B-sides and outtakes, from the recordings of 3 or 4 albums that he did. It's a double album. It's interesting. He hasn't really got through to me, and I can't make my mind up whether his storytelling is so compelling that it overshadows some of his shortcomings in terms of his singing. But yeah, that's another one to go for. And just ever so finally, I'll just return to ECM. I bought a CD box set. Finally bought a box set in February that had been on my wants list for a while, and it's ECM compilation called Selected Signs, and it's volume 3 to volume 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 CDs. I remember buying Selected Signs Volume 1 when it came out in the 1990s. Really cheap sampler for ECM. On the back of that compilation, I bought loads of CDs, and that really got me into ECM. So I haven't worked my way through this box set completely just yet, but so far so good. So there you go. That's what I've been playing, and that's what I've been buying over the last 3 to 4 weeks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.